How did nomads carve temples with no tools? Who built the first monuments aligned perfectly with the stars? We're exploring all
Most
the hidden
important,
mystery of the earth. Scott?
and most importantly, I was so excited about that. Most importantly, why have they kept a lot of secrets hidden from us in our history? So, coming up next on LOL.
We're just killing that one.
I don't just talk stuff and repeat stuff. I'm living this stuff. And you can thank me for covering your astro. Leading out loud. Leading out loud. Leading out loud.
Hello and welcome to Leading Out Loud, the shift show that takes all things spiritual and gets to the truth, sometimes with humor, sometimes without. I'm psychic astrologer Christopher Oteki, the sensei of serious joy.
And I'm Scott Cruz, psychic medium and mentor with ScottCruzPM.com. How are you doing this week, Christopher?
I'm doing really good, actually. Phenomenal.
Good.
Really. On a score thing. Yeah, I feel great. I feel the new Matrix.
Yeah.
I feel the new program today. Today, I feel 100%. That full moon was the final that took it off.
That's
So
good.
I feel good.
That's good.
And I'm kind of going back in space time. It's kind of like I woke up back at age 23.
Wow, that's a far way to go back. 23.
Not the maturity level, I don't know how to prescribe it.
The
The outlook on
experience
life.
of it?
The outlook on life.
So you're more pumped, I'm sure. Like 23, you're kind of more pumped, like zealous,
Well,
right? Kind of just very.
I hadn't learned all the bad shit yet, so there was nothing to be afraid of.
Ah.
I wasn't afraid. I was just like, I was excited for every day. And I kind of feel that again. And I wonder, is it that the clouds drifted and we faced our karma? Like, is that why just sudden the sun's come out?
Yes.
Or is it just, this is the part of the ride of the attraction? It was always going to do that. You know,
And
that's some of the
we'll get
questions.
that into the read, but yes, like the new paradigm is basically beginning for a lot of us. So I
You
guess you're
feel
going
it?
to feel a lot of that bliss. I have, yeah, a lot of that bliss
Yeah.
energy.
Yes.
The past couple weeks have been quiet for me though. Like everything's kind of like not too busy, like just quiet. So I feel like that's kind of like that calm before the storm energy, you know?
I don't know. I mean, we've totally gone off script here, but I feel like I think this is the way it's supposed to be.
Yes, of course.
I feel it's supposed to be relaxed and calm,
Yeah.
but joyful. Kind of like
Yeah.
when you're on vacation. And so what if you end up at dinner late, or you know, forget the freaking turtle party tomorrow. Let's
Now we
you
know
know.
who's late to dinner all the time. This one.
No, I mean,
He's
that's
outing
not
it.
why I was late. I don't want to go down this my whole show, but late this is actually a bigger trend. I mean, I'm suddenly just, coming into all the details and understanding whys of the last chapter. So the whys are really explaining themselves now. And I get it in my heart. I'm like, yes, and there's clarity, there's release, there's relief and all that stuff. But also there's this like whole life's fun again. I don't know. Like, I'm not worried. Nothing's a bummer. Nothing's bringing me down. Nothing is holding me back or afraid of anything or worried about something. Even money stuff, I'm like, yeah, I'll figure it out.
Yeah, well, that is clearance of karma. I mean, clearly, because there's like a new chapter, just kind of unknown, right? But then you feel it's kind of like almost like that naive energy from when you're younger, just like you don't know what the problems are. You're just like, let's go for it. And so
Exactly what you just said. Yes, that's what I meant by 23.
Yeah, it's totally indicative of a complete new chapter, a new paradigm, and that's been the kind of like collective read for quite some time up to this point, and I'm sure the astrology shows that, and we'll get more into that in the collective read, of course, a bit deeper.
Well, that was an interesting, but very true. I mean, I'm glad we're bringing up these things are actually happening. I mean, this is probably where I speak my most current truth. About what's going on in my life is LOL. So it's interesting to talk about those things. But we've actually got a script and a plan here today. We're bringing back some History's Mysteries games today. And we're going to talk about today's topic, which is, ancient history and what the hell happened. Our exploring Earth's hidden history as well. So, Scott, here's our game. We love to play together so well every year, every day. Will it ever end? It is actually us going into a topic. We've already announced that. And then I will throw out to you sort of the title of the topic. And your job is to tell us exactly what comes up.
Sounds good. Let's do it.
Yeah. Do not
What's the first
filter.
one?
We want it all. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm waiting for the music. Who built the megalithic site Göbekli Tepe?
Who built it?
Who built it?
God, I don't know. I thought the question was, why was it wiped out, or how was it wiped out? I don't know who built it. I don't know. I'm not versed in history to know that, but I can see why it was wiped out. To me, it feels like it's a mixture of kind of a natural disaster, as well as something I would say more divine. right? That's what it feels like, the ending of it. But as far as the name of people, I'm so bad with my intellect on history, so I couldn't tell you the people. But
You're
the
seeing things you
wiping
can't
out,
describe.
right? Exactly. But like, I can see a scene, and I can see why actually, why it was wiped out. It feels like, it does feel like kind of, I see winds and storms and floods. So almost literally was wiped out is what I'm seeing, as far as the concluding of such. The
First of all,
people,
yeah, go ahead.
if I could describe the people, maybe, because I don't, the people to me,
That's not the question.
what's that? What says who built
That's
it,
not the
right?
question.
'Cause
What kind of underwear do they have?
okay.
No. So it comes up kind of spotchy, or it comes up. Obviously, it comes up a little spotchy. I think the ancient stuff is coming up just now for the first time, personally, psychically. Like, I'm really just starting to get better signals on all this the first time.
Yeah, like I don't even know who I don't know what the Gobekli Tepe was. I'm not familiar with that. Yeah.
Okay, so what it was is like it was, first of all, it was a perfectly aligned, what's the thing they have in London? It's called the Circle. I can't remember what it's called right now. Someone will say it probably in chat or whatever, but it was kind of like that. It was like all these monuments and these ancient cities that apparently, with the technology we have, takes it humans way back, like 6,000 years farther back than our current
Stonehenge. You're thinking?
Yeah, Stonehenge. So it's like Stonehenge, and all these things are in perfect order. But there's also incredible, like, how the hell did they ever sculpt that stuff?
Right.
And the point is it's over, I think, 6,000 years from us. So it just blows science and everything they say about this wrong, right?
Right.
So, but who the hell built it? Psychically, I can feel it was aliens. That's what I feel.
It's interesting because, like, if I had to describe the people, right? Because it's no one that I would say can pinpoint a name out. Like I was saying before, if I could describe the people, I get this kind of very warrior, energy, but it feels like 5D, feels interdimensional too. They feel temporary to the planet. So I would agree with you on that, because I feel like they harbored here, but they didn't like fully, so it felt like they were maybe interdimensional beings. And yeah, it feels like some sort of a natural disaster, I said winds, flooding, all that stuff, literally wiped it out.
Interesting. Well, we'll talk more about that later when we talk about the Anunnaki. Here's the next question. Music, please.
Anunnakis.
Why do over 200 cultures across the world have nearly identical flood myths?
Interesting. That's funny, right? Well, I think the divine, even maybe those who are maybe altering physical reality more so, interdimensional beings. I mean, what better way to wipe things out than with a flood, right? It kind of like sweeps things away. And water is a symbolic, element too of cleansing, restart, refreshing. So, I mean, I think that's the best way to kind of like really cleanse things out. I mean, if you think, logically, simplistically.
Let me follow up that for the psychic follow up. It's just, so you're saying it's a possibility from what you're picking up psychically that it was a deliberate flood caused by something.
Like when I say deliberate, it's like divine. Like you read the stories in the Bible where God wiped out and also it feels like that. It feels like a divine. But I also feel like those in the interdimensional realms like also are able to evoke those types of, natural disasters. So I kind of feel something like that there. Like it's an intentional, also, cataclysmic, event,
Yeah.
So, but that's to me, that I just like it for better terminology, divine, divine conclusion to such.
It's interesting. It's interesting you say that. I mean, first of all, I feel you're onto something from what I've studied. From what I've studied, not from my psychic side so much, although I didn't feel bullshit when I was being told it. It was that apparently the Earth was filled with all sorts of species that are not supposed to be here, like dark ones and ones making us slaves. And so apparently it was decided in heaven to intervene. And they apparently intervened by introducing a number of aliens to the planet that would take care of it because they didn't like those people in the first place. Long story short, apparently a comet was like slingshot, with precision alien mathematics right into the oceans and deliberately flooded the Earth for all these other species to die.
Okay. All right.
At which point people were brought underground and they're brought in arcs. Both. Like it was
and I feel like too, it's like less evidence if it's done that way. You know what I'm saying? There's less traces of those civilizations.
The cops like, this is a fight a minute ago. What are you doing?
Take a piss on this thing.
A trial like in a galactic thing. It's possible. I don't know. But I do feel deliberate. Like when I ask my guys, is it deliberate? Yes, it feels deliberate, planned.
Yeah. Yeah. For sure.
Yes. Okay, it's interesting. We're going to pass that question. Why were pyramids built throughout the ancient world, Egypt, Mesoamerica, India, and Cambodia? I guess that's the question. Why were they?
Why were they? Right. To me, I always the pyramids are kind of like energy portals. Like you're bringing the energy down into into the ethers, into the physical world. So it's kind of like almost like a vortex created. So just like in the Egyptian times, they knew how to build tombs to astral project. They knew how to use certain elements and frequency vibration at that time and alter the laws of physics. So I believe, not so much I believe, I really feel intuitively and psychically that they were built for energy harvesting, and understanding how to build the flow of energy. If you look down,
or both, I guess.
Yeah, totally. But if you look down at some of these civilizations, how they were built, or even today's modern complexes, they almost look like circuit boards, the way these all lined out, the way things are connected. So there's intelligent design, I would say, from these monuments, these civilizations that come from definitely a higher dimensional perspective, for sure, to me.
Well, okay, so there's another one that's very interesting. So I've heard a lot of stories about this. For one, I understand that the pyramid is the exact shape underneath it as it is below. So it's actually a diamond.
Right.
That's the first
Yes.
thing. So it's built down on the ground. So it is a plug. Some have described it to me as like it's actually acupuncture for the earth in some regards. Like when they build them in certain places, it forces the earth to like heal and go different places. And she shifts or harness at key points of her energy grids and harness. I've been told that it provided light in ancient times and it glowed at night. And I've also heard the story, which is really compelling. I think there's half truth to this, that after Atlantis, the earth actually tilted. It hadn't been tilted prior to Atlantis. When Atlantis did that, the earth tilted. Which create our precession of the equinox, by the way. And so they said they had to come in and stabilize the earth. It was so bad. It had to be like stabilized with these energy pyramid up, pyramid downs to like sort of get Mother Earth to like sit up again. But she never did.
So much for that intellect, right? But I think they understood, like there was more than, I think a lot more reasons and intentions for doing so too, because I also think, if we check the ley lines, what type of vortices are there just even to harbor and harness the energy while you're here on the planet, if you're not from this planet. So I really feel that's why they built those pyramids, is for those purposes. And I also think it's very symbolic of that time too. It's just a very symbolic nature to do that,
Well, you couldn't build one. First of all, it was never humans. I mean, we don't have the technology. We haven't had the technology. Yeah. Clearly was not us, or at least, not us in our current form. But it's interesting. It really is interesting. I think we have time for one more. We need the music. Is Antarctica a portal to other worlds and other dimensions?
Is Antarctica beyond? I don't know if there's a piece of Antarctica where they block off where people cannot access. I don't know if I'm getting that correct.
It's called Antarctica. You can't go there.
Antarctica, okay. But because I feel like there's also there's a hidden part of that where people can access, where I feel like there is a dimensionality, portal or a vortex or some sort of energy that can actually transmute you into different dimensionalities. So yeah, I believe so. It's just like the Bermuda Triangle. People just like disappear in that. I do feel that about Antarctica. I've always felt that, actually.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, it's rumored that, first of all, the Earth is not a circle. It is a torus energy thing that has a hole in the top and a hole in the bottom, like a donut. It's rumored that hole is in Antarctica and the North Pole. It's rumored that a couple of Navy, people, like I'm talking about people who ran fleets of ships, one flew into it apparently, and they found a city, some ancient technology city that was shut down, living sort of like, I guess, in the entryway of this hole, like the sunlight from the entryway would come in, that sort of thing. Those are all the rumors. Compelling. Obama, after a week out of office, went to Antarctica.
Yeah.
Probably wasn't cleared as a president to go there. Why would you not be cleared as a current president to go there? It's just a piece of ice.
I mean, depending what he's learned after being a president and who he's bumped elbows with, and so of course he's gotten more information about those sorts of things, right? So, but that's to me a more affirmative. I've always felt that.
That there's something there in blah blah blah.
The question that you asked is, does Antarctica
gotcha. Totally.
Yes, I've always felt it to be true. Yes,
there's a lot of stuff going on like that, and it's interesting. Right now in our life, let's flash forward to Earth President. So let's just switch topics here. But I think before we do, let's talk about one more thing you offer people in the world.
What am I offering here? Well, So much to offer over here. Oh, tomorrow. Okay, my live show is tomorrow. Tomorrow I'm doing readings with psychic and business strategist Brittany Carmichael. Tomorrow we're doing tag team readings and just doing some mystical chat tomorrow. Thursday night, 6 p.m. Pacific time, 9 p.m. Eastern time. I'm live every Thursday, but still happen to have a guest on there. And also, if you want to do personal one-on-one sessions, scottcruzpm.com. If you don't want to do the whole live thing, offer live readings, mediumship sessions, intuition builder sessions as well. scottcruzpm.com. Either way, join me tomorrow and every Thursday.
Yay! You know what?
Yay,
Brittany's an amazing reader. Like the stuff that she gets just like instantaneously, you would think she made it up, except it's brilliant and true. It's just like so fast the way she gets in there. And she has got this shocking ability to like say that thing you didn't want to say. Like in a reading, she'll call me out. She'll be like,
that's why we're teaming up, because we both don't hold back. We're both very ballsy. So
yes, but she's got like girls ballsy, so she's like,
yes.
So that's a girl question that hard. That's what it was.
Yep.
Like a girl boy question. Yeah, she's getting right straight to it. I was like, oh, I don't even that, so that's my girlfriend. Or anyway, like I would tell in with that. So yeah, good stuff, guys. I tune in.
Yeah. Check us out.
And that concludes this commercial.
Is there a commercial? Are we running one? I mean,
Scott Cruz is popularly known for his life-changing one-on-one readings to also guide your soul ascension journey. With life readings, get insight into your relationships, career, health, trauma healings, past life regressions, and more. Want to connect with a loved one who's transitioned? Scott's mediumship session can be the gateway to you and your loved ones in spirit, bridging the gap between the physical and the spiritual realm. If you want to enhance your own psychic ability, Scott's Intuition Builder session can help expand your psychic and mediumship abilities. So sign on to scottcruzpm.com to book your own personal session today.
That was great. And little people know that Come Alive is actually what we sing when we're going into our show. It's not part of your commercial.
Right, exactly.
Come on, the show needs to come alive.
Come alive, wake up, Christopher, wake up. Oh yeah, I have a show to do. Okay.
The world is waking up too. Like, in fact, we have a lot going on right now. I mean, look at how things have sped up. Did I not say, I mean, I'm sure you did too, that we have this anomaly happening in June where I said everyone will be upset, right? We talked about it. I didn't think it would be this, though. It's interesting. Of course, we have the ICE protests going on, centered in Los Angeles, but now spreading to other cities. That's huge. That's public unrest. That is frequency wars. That's what we were kind of expecting. Scott, what's your read on that energy?
Specifically about the riots? What is the question? Or just do a collective?
Let's do riots. You're correct. We'll hone in.
Yeah.
But what's going on in general, but then the riots are what subset of what?
Yeah. Right. And so to follow through with you too, May was my month of movement. I've been singing for a while, and then I felt June, July, revelations and chaos. Right. And so here we are beginning with the chaos, but it's also revealing a lot of things about government and policies and stuff that we maybe want to change or shift. I'm not going to get too political there. So I think this is just evident of that kind of chaotic moment of breaking things down. And so to be very cliche, breaking things down to break through, that's what we're doing. And I see a lot of people's minds kind of breaking down old ideologies, old things that they've been holding on to and starting to say, maybe that isn't the direction I want to be going, both collectively and individually. So I think these riots are kind of indicative of people standing up and using their voice and starting to become more in that kind of revelation of like, we need to start doing something as a society, whatever perspective they're at. And so, yeah, I think now specifically with those riots, though, it feels like a distraction to me. It really feels like distraction, like, don't look here, look over here, and I'm always saying that about the government too, especially because the narrative does fit too about why there be riots. It feels very controlled to me, now I'm not favoring a political side here, but, I have a lot of friends who are in LA and live LA says there was no issue. Like there was no issue. They sent in the National Guard, right? And so those
was an experience, by the whole
right. And so, of course, I saw another confirmatory and it read that there's some sort of controlled energy about that, and that will spark, as you know, Christopher, that will spark copycats. That will spark people who want to be malicious in these riots and so forth. So that's just more of the beginning. But again, I always feel it's a very positive sense of people standing up and using their voices, and almost like creating a revolution. But that's because of the revelations. So to me, I still
nice one. Yeah, that's a good one.
But I do feel like it's going to be a positive in the end. Yeah. So.
Well, it'll be a happy ending.
Eventually.
We have a bit of an echo for some reason. Well, I feel you're 100% right in the sense of I agree with all your perception. You pick up on it, but I feel it's it's absolutely constructed, as so many things have been. it's interesting, around the topic of what it is. And I was in LA actually that night, and I didn't even feel anything vibrationally.
Right.
I mean, LA kind of stinks psychically, it does stink psychically. There's a lot of dead bodies everywhere that have been found and stuff like that. But so as a psychic, you're a little spooked out going there. You can't go too long. So there's always that. Maybe it kind of, took away the scent or the energy. But honestly, usually when I'm there, I feel, and this is something to the broader discussion, is I used to feel affected by these things. I'm not anymore.
Yeah.
Like I'm not. At first I was like, am I on? Hello? Is this working? And
right.
I just don't, anything negative I'm not feeling. So I'm finding that was the first time I'm like, wow, I was there. I didn't feel it. Wow. Yeah. Some sort of armor up for me. But, y'all, I definitely can tell you this without getting into anything, without putting my opinion out there and things like that. It's hard to toe the line for us as empaths, psychics, and also we have human beings with opinions. Ultimately, it does feel exactly according to plan. It does feel psychically this is all planned. And I guess what I would encourage everyone right now, because it's about to get fucking crazy. This is not even, this is just a little start here. There is, I believe, some group that is doing this. Yes, I think it is being done. I really do. I don't know who it is or why the motives are, or the big picture is, but every time I pick it up, an act of God has a different feeling than an act of man. It just feels like an act of man, and it's being intended and created. Why? Well, everyone, that's the greatest mystery with popcorn until we get off the planet, is like, what the fuck was that about? Like what was really happening? And we already talked about aliens and how there was a conspiracy to drop, a comet in the water and kill the dinosaurs and all the other things. So it's happened before in that regard. The other thing too, is I feel like this is also us being told to learn what truth is. And truth is what you are being told by you. What you're being told by you is your truth. And a lot of times my truth doesn't look at all like it belongs where I am. Like I'm like, what the fuck? Yeah. Go ahead, Scott.
Well, no, I was concurring, because I feel like even though there's time too, a lot of us who've been doing a lot of that discernment and discerning about what's going on individually and collectively, we kind of feel like, I feel like this is predictable, not because be intuitive. I'm like, I think logically it's just predictable too, because I feel like, well, duh, of course this has to happen if we're going where we're going. If we're getting to where we need to get to as a collective, like, of course it's going to happen. So there's that piece of kind of just knowing intuitively that this is part of the story. It's part of the process, part of the trajectory. And so that's why I'm just like, yeah, I know where we're going. That's why I always kind of say, but it's not going to be in the end a bad thing. It's going to be a good thing in the end, right? But yes, it is hard to discern opinion. I always say, for me, my opinion gets formulated based on how I'm reading something, right? And so a lot of times my reads have like changed my opinions on so many things, because I'm just like, oh, I'm reading this here, so that changed my opinion. So I try to make sure my opinions, always just derive from what I'm reading intuitively.
You're picking up. Well, mine is always, I agree 100%. Like if I don't have agreement here, then they'll tell me in a reading, like, you're wrong. Yeah. So, well, there's stuff I'm not meant to know because I'm on the ride too. Like, don't tell me how it ends or whatever. I think there's instructions in heaven for myself. Do not reveal the ending. Do not, as far as how I want to experience this. But also I feel like I'm really in the last 2 weeks have come to this new, I've said this 1,000 times. I said it probably today in our meeting, but I just don't think people understand the gravity of this. Or let's put it this way. I'm starting to understand the gravity of this, which is right now you and I are in heaven sleeping, and we are having a networked dream together, but we're in heaven sleeping right now. That's what the reality is. Our consciousness is not even here. This is not even. And so I started thinking about the layers of what that meant. It's like, that means that, that means in my dream, what riots? That means in your dream, my God, the riots, or someone else's. And literally we are creating this in our minds. And the only reason why it's, that's not an out there concept. It's like, hello, wake up. What are we even writing for? This doesn't exist. We're in a video game. We have powers. Like, to me, we haven't come to that. We're like, we're in a video game that has powers, and we are worried about that person on the TV that we all collectively dreamt about that doesn't exist either.
Yeah, but we have to experience it, though. That's the whole point, is we have to experience it. We have to experience it. What does it like to be in chaos? What is it like to manage chaos? What is it like to stand up and fight for my rights, right? So we're all here for that experience, and think that when we understand that theme, that actual divine purpose that we have, it all makes sense.
You just take it to the next step. Like, step one is, hey, this isn't real. Step two is like, it's a fucking video game.
Yeah.
Like we're here to experience. We're here to experience it. I want to be here because I want to experience it. I want to hear, Cirque du Soleil. I want to experience it. All things I want to experience and just be there in the presence of. And you're right. That's exactly where my mind went next. It was just like, then that means this is fun, like kind of thing. That moment we're supposed to be
intended.
Right.
Yeah. I like to say may not be fun, but it's intended, and we understand it's intended, and that we signed up for the theme of this. I'm like, okay, what is my game character? What's my character's mission? And that makes it fun. You know what I mean? That makes it fun. So now my challenges are fun because I understand that's my character's mission. You know, and so a lot of people have to. We've seen a lot of people trying to use their voice instead of using their voices. And I look in the past 7-8 years for politics. You've seen people who were maybe didn't know how to stand up before or speak up before, speaking up about the stupidest things. But I'm like, hey, they're speaking up though. Like, you know, we're seeing a lot more people having that push. But that's part of our theme. That's part of the theme collectively.
Well, I look at those people and I'm like, oh, I went to, you know, figured out this land 2 cycles ago. It was so good. So to me, it's like, I was in that before. I know I did that reality play. You know, I'm not going to tell you how it ends, you know, but like and so when I look at people, ever is down or up, it's just like, oh, you're up on level. It's like a video game. Oh, you made the fucking level 44. Well, sure. Right. You know, like how'd you get past the bosses, you know, or whatever. To me, that's what it's turning into. And although that sounds silly, it's actually so it has such profound consequences. Because what's happening is I'm now, you know, in a store or something that goes weird or wrong. Now I'm watching it like a movie. I'm not affected. I don't care.
Right.
And I don't care because I don't care. I don't care because I'm like, oh, that's cute. You know, like that's a cute move. Oh, who would design that scene? You know, like it's just a different point of view. But it seems to be sticking.
Well, yeah. I mean, I've always compared it to virtual reality. That your physical body is that headset. You know what I'm saying? We put on the headset, we're playing the game, and we know the game that we're actually bought, that so we're in this game, but we know the parameters of this game, you know, and then when you're in tune to the parameters of it, then you start enjoying it. Yeah. But I would say, but when you're done, you take the headset off, you're still the same person, you know, and that's what our body is, that VR headset, basically, you know? And so, yeah, I've always seen it that way, but you know, at the same time, it helps other people to understand there's a good sense of detachment. This is what I want to say to people who are listening to that. They feel detached from that, which is good, not so much to remove yourself, to see it from a broader perspective, to be more objective about your life and discerning about it, which then you can be fulfilling your purpose. Many people take it, they just want to say, oh, it's not fake, so I'm nothing serious. Like, no, it's more about having that God perspective.
Well, that was a great, segue into what we're going to talk about today, actually. But before we do, you know, the general read of the energy right now, we went off on these tangents of where it came from, what it means. No, I think it's all good, but we're also supposed to report on, the energies of the day. I'll start with this. We just had a full moon yesterday. So that full moon at Sagittarius at 20 degrees, Sep 20, was to me, and the Sep system has taught me, we just energetically killed our emotional attachment to the old direction we were heading. So we're all heading a certain direction. We probably, you know, in the beginning of our lives, we start in that direction. That direction is what we feel is right, what we feel will happen. And we sort of capitated that with this full moon and said, nope, it turns out it was not all those emotional attachments where it's a happy ending or you end up a squirrel. Nope, it's actually not going to be that. And we let go of that emotionally. So yesterday we sort of emotionally dumped the emotional baggage of the old story, which is how I felt today. That was the newness for me. It's like, started carrying that intention for myself around all the time, and how much emotion sort of did to it, you know, added to it. So we were building up, to me, to snipping off the old timeline, and the timeline was snipped. I know I have the same in my head. The timeline was snipped because at the first snip and tuck was the new moon in Gemini, and that was I'm relating to myself differently in my head. I'm relating to myself differently. I used to call myself the loser now. So the relation of ourself was the key seed, and from that new relationship to ourself, we got to the full moon, which was like, and that means that ain't gonna happen, right? You know, kind of thing. And to me now, that's okay. We're in the game at this point. Like, we're in the game. And from this point forward, I feel like the first thing that happens is that we get a lot of things about the last game we didn't know when we were playing. And so that information, like, oh, did you happen to know this is going on in the game when you were all like lost over here in this addiction? You know what I mean? Like, as like that's the sort of realization. So I feel like we're all about to go, whoa, over the summer.
Absolutely. I mean, it's a lot of movement. So a lot of people either moved in May or in May projecting to move. Right. So that can happen in the course of May, June, July, too. So there's going to be a lot of that Rubik's Cube energy, too. So, yeah, I concur. And not to be long winded about that, I just want to concur on that, too. But, you know, what do you think about, someone just commented, too, about, you know, King's Day, the 14th. They were very impatient. They wanted to know, please tell me about the 14th. What's the astrology on the 14th before we forget? That do you see?
The 14th of June coming up?
Yeah. King's Day. I think isn't that the parade?
I don't know anything about this, and forgive me, because if it's even a big holiday, I am an idiot, and I'm coming from a bad story. I'll look at the planets right now, just live. That's what I'm going to do, is look at the planets live and see what they say. What is King's Day? Give me the fundaments of it first.
I don't. It's the protest.
Hello? Oh, you know
of Trump. Can you hear me? Hello.
Sorry, that was weird. Yeah, I was saying, what is it exactly? Forgive me for not knowing.
Well, it's a parade that Trump's doing for to celebrate the military and all that stuff. It's like a parade, and it's also his birthday, right?
His birthday. Oh, really? So he made his birthday into a holiday? That's funny.
So he's like, it's my birthday, but that's not why I'm doing it. And it's like, okay,
might be true. It might have been the best day just to schedule it.
Right. So
okay.
Someone wants to know that's on the 14th. So someone's asking about doing it on there.
Okay, if it was set up. Well, it's step 23. I don't know. By the time it's 22 is a chaotic day. So, his birthday is 22. So he is a disruptor by energetic standards. He's here to disrupt. Keep in mind that there's millions of 22s on the planet right now with the same intention, including Breeze the Grandmaster 24. But the reason why people who have disruption, this is a disruptive day, is because there's something going to be built in this place. So it's not ever for just destruction. It's because the universe wants to bring in something better, and so you bring in disruptor, which is Aquarius. And it adds to a 4, which is Aquarius, that kind of thing. So given this month, this year, well, I'm not sure what the question was, but I'd say we're already very disrupted by this day. I think we're going to continue being disrupted, and whatever this holiday is or whatever it is, again, I think if it came from Trump, he's just being 22. He's deliberately pushing you this way emotionally because he's trying to get you over here. It's usually how it is. Now, other politicians do it intellectually, as far as the way they talk about this and they switch topics over here.
But what do you feel the energy is for that day, though?
The energy for that day, let's see.
In regards to
it's not going to be too bad.
Parade.
What's that in regard to the parade? Well, keep in mind. Go ahead.
Yeah, because they're going to be protesting ICE, and it's the whole thing about
is everyone getting together, and this is an organized thing across the country.
Yeah, Trump's putting on. It's gonna be like millions of bucks.
I don't know.
You ever heard of it?
No, I'm totally unplugged from it because I just don't care anymore. And
it's
maybe
King's Day.
It's part of my job.
It's King's Day. It's Flags Day. We usually do. I sometimes tune out too, but it's like it's King's Day. I think it's Flags Day or something like that. And so, it's like a protest that we don't have kings in America, but yet we have Trump doing the parade.
What's interesting is here's the thing. It's an interesting point because I know in what I've been showed that where we're going in humanity is in communities. We're going in communities. So it's already happening. Like in my community, which is light work and being here in Palm Springs and my friends and you and my psychic friends and talking about stuff like this that we talk about, that's my community. And our community, we're not watching the news. We're just not watching the news. It's like we don't care it even matters. We come from a belief that none of it matters anyways. Right. And so this is a perfect example of just expect this. What a person is so caught up and mad about, I don't know what the percentage is, but it's less than you think. Right. It really is less than you think. It's the TV networks cannot fake the numbers. Honestly, the ones that are getting me numbers like Joe Rogan and interesting things, that's where all the viewership's going. TV knows that's true. We don't care anymore. We don't pay attention. So anyways, that said, that day, I think that day will go actually rather well because it's a 22 day, which means that there's emotion bouncing off of each other. But the moon itself is going to be basically an Aquarius. Aquarius is the neutralizer of Aquarius rules, chaos, but Aquarius also is a neutralizer. Aquarius's goal is to bring everything to harmony. Yeah, so it might be crazy for a minute, but the net result will be harmony.
But I do feel, because they're saying that someone just said there'd be protests, around to protesting event like in their cities. I believe that, so I feel like the parade itself will not be sabotaged, but there'll be so much other things going around at the same time during it. It might be overshadowed, right, in a sense. So yeah, I feel like there's gonna be a lot of people coming together outside of that parade, outside, and that's probably the aqua energy, because when aquas get pissed, and things, we have to fine, we'll take over now and do it. So I feel like that's that energy, people standing up saying, no, we're all gonna, stand up and protest this. And so,
the truth though, and as far as like the physics of things getting out of control, you have to have an opposition force there of energy, like people. Well, I think in here in California, what was happening was oppositional in the sense of there are people whose their families and friends are being taken away, and there are people who are mad that they're worried the country that there's a lot of sleeper cells and stuff, and it's not what we think, and so everyone's very emotional about it and worried for good reasons. And everyone who's worried, I feel, have a right to worry and have a right to be concerned about it. But at the end of the day, I don't feel that everyone's emotions is so worked up that it's going to somehow escalate. Because when I talk to people about this, we'll talk about it for about an hour, and then we'll go off talking about what we like. I don't feel Americans are holding a lot of emotion and passion and anger around this stuff. So I don't feel like it's a fire that's going to take off. And I feel that's going to be true. I feel like as we go into this whole thing, they call it a frequency war, which means they suggest maybe it's this, but if you don't agree, well, the fire goes out quick. And, ask anyone to try to be, the cool one at the party. It's not easy to get the whole energy to go up. So I feel the intention is to create a boiling point as far as the planning is concerned, but I don't feel the water's ready to boil because I think Americans are kind of over all this kind of drama. We grew up with all this drama every day and we're tired. We're bored. Let's see something else.
You're right about that, but I think people are tired, and then they will be standing up because they're tired. That's what I feel that, like I said, revolution energy coming up really in a positive way.
Yes.
I feel it brewing because what you said, people are tired, people are sick of the shit, but a lot of people are standing up because of that. And I just got to
one thing.
read.
You don't have to riot to stand up. I mean, I'm not even pointing fingers. Like all we have to do is we have to pay attention, show up to the community things, start talking. Like it can be done very calmly, whatever you want done.
Yeah, of course. I mean, we change things, we boycott things. There's ways we can speak with our actions too, but it's like we have to somehow like summon the energy of those around, right? So when people seeing that going around, it kind of resurrects people who are maybe sleeping and not really like just so over it and detached from it too. I got really random read too. Like I just feel like somewhere along the line, I don't know if it's after this protest or further out, Trump is going to be caught on a hot mic saying something damaging. I don't know. I just got to read on
Tune
that.
in.
So
probably.
I don't know if it's during a protest or after, or in the next few months. I feel like a hot mic moment with Trump that kind of exposes something currently.
Interesting. Well, that'll be interesting. I feel though it's all in good play, and I also going back to my original thing that you're in a dream. This is what I'm saying. Things like this, I go back to the original thing. You're in a dream. We're dreaming together. We're in heaven right now. This is part of the co-creative creation that we all did. So no matter what it is, now that I feel like it's part of a greater, our minds are coming together to create this world because our minds want to learn something. Each of us wants to learn something. We want to learn things to collectively. I'm like, yeah, that's some crazy shit that he said, but that was in the game. At the end of the day, I have this detachment now. We'll see if it lasts.
But that's for you right now. Others like we have to respond, right?
100%.
Because you're coming off a karmic thing to where you need to find peace right now, but other people are coming up where they need to start finding their voice, right? So I think everyone, and I'm glad you're saying this because everyone will have a different participation in this. Some people need to take a step back, right?
Yep.
Some people need to just level head and just be able to observe without engaging with the chaos. That's as a Taurus, that's hard for a Taurus to do. So I think that's part of your karmic journey here too. But I'm really feeling like aqua revolution energy in the next, brewing, I would say.
I played this like chapter. This chapter I played in other lifetimes. I'm very aware of. Like I did it. I was a king that tried to save the whole continent. I always wanted to. I played those games where I'm like ching, and I'm in the fighting rounds, and I'm like, you will go down, and like played all that. And I look at it, I'm like, I don't know if I feel like that this year.
It's not your time this lifetime, yeah.
No, exactly. And I think that's a way to help us respect each other. It's like everyone's in a different level of game. You're not gonna like be like, you're in the first grade, you still can't read. In the first grade, you can't fully read. Like, so why would you make fun of stuff? Why would we be upset with each other at different grades? I expect you all each other to be in the same grade. Why? I feel once these sort of kind of things seep in, it's like, I don't know, maybe it's me. You just don't feel like we're in any threat ever. But the energies are crazy in that sense. And the planets are changing. I mean, we saw there's 5 planets that change signs this month, 5. And those 3 of them are slow moving planets. So if you have just 2 change, you're going to feel something's a little off. But when you have that many changing, it means that we're changing channels. The human race is changing channels to a different collective stream. One thing that's definitely true is we're also at the same time getting upgrades in our devices. So we have the changing channels, but we also have these new devices called 5D bodies. And these 5D bodies, apparently from awakening our DNA. I don't know if that, it feels like it's true. Every time I hear like, oh, the aliens are working on our DNA or this is working on our DNA, I'm like, I used to be like, okay, show me. But now I'm like, yeah, probably true. There's probably some sort of an upgrade, just like your phone gets an upgrade, so we've gotten an upgrade of our body. So we're getting an upgrade of our abilities of what's possible. We are now able to like kind of write our own thought. We're coming out of whatever cloud the aliens put us in when they try to make us be their slaves, or whatever the, victim of, the restart, what was it they were calling? I can't remember right now, but, the real first build back better came after Atlantis, where we're going to build back better. So we've come back from a lot of that. I feel that the planets do say, just to close this up, that the energy is going to be strange in the sense that one, we have new thought and we don't realize it yet, but our mind hasn't realized a lot of stuff yet. So there's these consequential sort of like ba-doom, 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 like doors opening in the mind because you had realization you were off with just one. And so I think every week you have to understand that you're going to be coming out of your own stories you've been telling yourself, like, why was I telling myself that? Why did you even do that? Realizing that, and you're also going to see things in the world do the same thing. So it's kind of like we're on an interesting acid trip, and we should just all get.
And I just want to just concur too, like, someone asked about, does that mean we practice neutrality? Maybe not you. Maybe some people need to practice neutrality right now. Maybe your voice is to stand up. Maybe yours is to guide. So find your role in that. Christopher's role might be neutrality right now for him. Mine is also to connect and to be insightful. And others are like, they got to stand up their voices. So be keen on what your position and role is right now, during this time of
very good
realization and revelations.
Know where you fit in. Know where you fit in. Yeah, exactly. Know where your story is, your plight is, and what you're here to do. But the planets are affirming, yes. So we're definitely putting a new record on the record.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yep. I agree.
So I guess it's time for a word from our sponsors, is why I'm reading here in the script, before we dive into the main topic of today. I'll be right back. From the creators of 40 Days of Past Lives and Karma and 40 Days of Self-Love comes the class you've been waiting for, an introduction to Step Astrology. That's right, I'm sharing some of my inside secrets on how to read a chart according to Step Astrology and help you interpret the stars, whether it's for yourself or for clients. Keep a lookout for us coming soon.
I help people to kind of get in touch with their gut, which some people believe is your first brain now, right?
Right.
And what the coolest part about what I do is that it's not like I sell anybody on anything. Like, people come to me because they know that they need to get to me, either for higher self work, colon hydrotherapy work, how to have like living food in your world, how to create your purpose, how to tap your intuition, how to align chakras, systemic like energy moving through the body. I take care of people to help them to realign their integrity within themselves for their mind, body, and spirit. And the integrity is really the right relationship. It's not like a moral judgment or anything. It's just right relationship. And I feel like a lot of people in this world know that they're not in right relationship and aren't always sure how to get back into it. So
That's what I'm talking about. Oh my God, the background was so... Y'all, we just gotta be frank with you. We're using technology. We're looking for new technology because we're finding that we're pushing buttons and it like has a mind of its own. And so it's like, okay, it makes us look like, I don't know what it makes us look like. I'm not gonna label us, but I'm just saying a lot of these little burps and stuff, we're dealing with some technology. This is pretty amazing, actually, the fact that you're in your town, I'm in mine, and we come into a studio and people are chatting. It's great technology. The ideas are great, but the latency is an issue, and that's right. Right? It's true. It's true. That's why I'm laughing.
He's struggling.
Yeah, totally. Well, I can't hide anymore. I'm just gonna tell you. Yeah, we can't get it to work.
Especially the latency of you belaboring a point too is also very challenging.
Crazy. Sometimes it's a human. Sometimes it's a human. Sometimes. All right, so we're going to get to the history of the Earth, the hidden part, Scott, and I guess we're going to do the same thing we did in the open. And then we're going to look at topics. Yeah, well, we're tight on time, but we're going to look at topics, and we're going to kind of get a feel of some of these things that had happened, right?
Yeah.
What your pickup is in. And these are bigger ones, even huge, larger conspiracies. First is music, please. Maybe not music. Maldek. This Maldek, I don't know if you know what Maldek is. Do you pick up anything right off the bat?
Continue. Let me give me time to tap
Okay,
in.
fair enough. Yeah, give me more. Well, Maldek was destroyed basically by a nuclear crystal accident. That's what they say. It apparently is the asteroid belt now. What is now the asteroid belt? There's the legends, the psychics, everything, that there was a planet there between Mars and Jupiter, right? Yeah. Which, that's pretty much yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, there's no really read on that. I guess, what I pick up from that, I guess is, first of all, is it true what I'm saying? So I see it being true.
Okay.
I do feel it being true. Obviously they're interdimensional beings. They're not human at all. They're not humanoid. They're rather short creatures, actually. They're very short creatures. They feel like I'm just seeing like short creatures that they're. They had the abilities to. They do have more time traveling abilities. I feel like that civilization of Maldek. I think that's what they harness those crystals for. And glyphs. I keep seeing a lot of glyphs. Around these large glyphs type of crystal energy on the planet, on their where their civilization was too. So yeah, I definitely feel that explosion in that sense. That's true.
Well, it's interesting.
Yeah, civilization was more like time travel. So like they time traveled a lot, and well versed in communication.
Well, this would have been in the history of records of what we understand before Earth was ever civilized. Apparently, Earth at the time was still all water planet and mostly frozen in the current orbit of Venus. Or the water was, and the planets themselves moved out. Apparently, Mars at the time was where we are now at Earth, and things have moved out since then. So it's kind of strange. I do feel like it's probably Elon Musk's home that blew up there.
Very possible.
Maldek is not far from Musk. The Musk
Facebook guy, Zuckerberg. That's who could be. That's more Zuckerberg energy.
I think Zuckerberg is the one that blew it up. I actually feel he's more that race.
I think it's not reversed. I would say Zuckerberg's from there and Musk blew it up. That's what I feel like.
Maybe, but I feel like Musk wants, Musk will take Mars back. He's on a vengeance here. This is a vengeance mission to get to Mars.
I feel that.
Yeah, it's a vengeance. It feels vengeance. It feels like he's pissed. He wants Mars, but anyways, he wants it, it's like, anyways. So that's possible. Here's another one. 2,100 years ago, I guess, BC, Lemuria, a race called they're actually called the Moos, but I have a different name here. Arrived on Earth. Oh no, it's different. Yeah. Called the Athuria are said to have arrived on Earth as the Lemurian civilization. So it's written here. I just can't read it. All right. So the idea is that they came first, and from my understanding, they were before Atlanteans. This was actually they were before. They trumped us. What I know is that they were in the Pacific Ocean. Scott, what do you think?
Well, obviously, there is a very heart-centered focus with Lemurians and new culture. So there's a lot of empaths coming from there, a lot of psychics coming from there, a lot of very, holistic healers that come from that age, right? That civilization. And so it feels very heart-centered, but I feel like those who are incarnated from Lemurians, they came back with like anger and a vengeance. So for some reason, because I feel like they didn't get it right that time, or they were too heart-focused, and now there's like a lot of the injustices that they feel in this incarnation, this timeline, so they want to revolutionize and in that sense. So I think a lot of the Lemurians are actually feeling that, wanting to stand up and revolutionize things and put things in their context the way they want to do now. Those who are, of course, have past incarnations from Lemuria. But yeah, I mean, I think there's a lot of heavy mystical energy there as well. That they came from their civilization.
I agree with everything you say. I feel everything you feel, and I actually feel the people who are doing the protests are Lemurians.
Right, exactly.
I do feel that. I do feel like a lot of them are the ones who are rising up now, and they're angry. And I feel like, and I feel like this is true in the Earth. People are angry, and they don't know why. It's not always what you're seeing here. So it's reminding you of every time this has happened in the Earth. And so that's why there's a lot of it's so intense for the people. But I don't feel you have enough energy to fight as big as we are being threatened as. I just don't feel like, people get tired, they go home and they'll watch Netflix. I'm not saying the cause will die. I just think that it's not going to. I feel like there's a spin by the media, particularly. Let's put it this way, which I don't watch it because it's always like, hey, it's going to be horrible. It's going to be this. It's going to be horrible, so bad. And you get the footage. You're like, yeah, but over there they're having candy, and if you get there, you realize a lot of it's framed up. A lot of it's made to be that way. And when you talk to people, like, yeah, we went, we supported, but you're not angry. You know what I mean? Like, no, but we support, so it's just not the fireball we keep getting told. That's what I'm saying. Yeah, it's a problem. It has to end. Yes. Like everything that, most cases I'm like, yep, man, yep. I usually hear both sides. I'm like, yep. Both have to do both. They're both right. They're saying things that I agree too. My heart agrees with all of everything.
Of course. Yeah. Look, the media definitely is gaslighting. Politicians are gaslighting. A lot of people are gaslighting. A lot of these things are staged fights, staged wars. A lot of gas. That's why they're trying to deport the Mexicans, because they don't want so much gas from their beans, right? But but they're gaslighting a lot. So we have to take a step back and say, okay, is this really? Am I being? Are they feeling the flames here? And so it's just more about discernment, in that case. But I do feel like, to go back to the topic, that the Lemurians today are the social justice warriors, are the protesters, are the ones fighting for the injustices. So
yes.
So when I see them, I kind of smile. I'm like,
I do feel that a lot of the ones who are really angry and really hurt, I do feel like are Lemurian a lot of times, and I feel like, wow, I didn't realize that wound was so much. I didn't realize that wound was there. Like, I have wounds from Atlantis. I went to Lemuria. I remember it. I think I tried to marry a girl from there. There's some of the weird love stories between me and Lemuria. So I identified with all of it, and I identified with people then. I identified their perspective. Apparently, that alien race that showed up was a more heartfelt, sweet, kind Hawaii. I mean, what Hawaii is Lemuria. It's like, we'll talk about work, but at 5 it's school it's pineapple time. It's like everything just turns into fun, and that's the life they want to live. And I do think the Atlanteans would show up in like these people having fun. They don't work as they don't build empires. So I can feel that sort of those two forces.
Well, speaking about Atlantis, what about Atlantis? Speaking of Atlantis, what's your vibe on those from Atlantis?
Oh, we're all here. We're all here. Everyone's here. Actually, I do feel, as I'm moving down my timeline, my psychic ability is clear. The downloads of creative ideas that I actually have to leave, because I could just sit there and channel ideas all day. And I'm thinking now in different terms, because there's so much waiting for me to recognize from, I think, whatever my higher self wants. That was all clogged from the shadow. It was a dirty toilet, it's like energetically. And so nothing came down. Now I have like rainbow bright ideas coming down. And point being, one of the ideas or one of the realizations that came is like, oh, we're all here. Like everyone from Atlantis in that lifetime. And I then further realized, why is that? That seems kind of odd. It's not usually that way. I realized, oh, you know what? This is, that Atlantis was not supposed to fall. So what you have is, I don't know, 1 billion broken timelines. 1 billion? How many timelines got broken?
Yeah.
And they have to be rebuilt.
And we Atlanteans, we're really good with spiritual technology.
They got it from the aliens themselves. They didn't.
Right. We were then there. We're there now, but we're here to kind of practice. We're actually here to kind of be what Lemurians were. I would say, in a sense,
I think we're meant to be a blend. We're meant to be a blend.
A blend, but we want to kind of lead the right way, not kind of revolutionize. We want to connect everything together, right? And so that's what we do, and also do it in the right way. I for one, being Giuliano Medici from a past life, which was of course confirmed many times. I'm not trying to float that out there. I didn't get it right with my voice. You know what I'm saying? They killed me. They sought me, right? And so in this incarnation, I'm like, I'm going to do it the right way. That's objective enough that still makes change, right? So I think a lot of us from Atlantis, we're good with the technology. We're good at making it down to earth and reasonable without being too out there, right? And so I think that's kind of the mission now that we have, is to make spirituality more tangible, more down to earth for those that maybe don't know how to participate in it.
Which I think falls under the category of restoring Atlantis. I mean, we're here to restore. I feel like we're going to bring it back to where it was, and that was actually the story of Atlantis. It was around 2,500 years before anything negative started to happen. They had a lot of damages from the Earth was very unstable at that time, and we were coming out of the Ice Age. So things were intense. Let's talk about the atmosphere. So the very first Atlantean civilization, which from what I understand was plucked from a group of Anunnaki people that were then their DNA was opened up. Like, we can go so long on this channel, and it was created. It was a city that was created by angels, connected to people on the ground who talked to angels, and they built the perfect civilization, the perfect one. And it was after about 2,500 years, aliens got pissed. They wanted Earth back, probably from Marduk, or something. And so there started to be infiltration into this perfect consciousness, which didn't have walls and didn't have any knowledge or history or memory of people being assholes screwing them over. These are literally virgin energies living their highest vibration, living happy. Which I think that we actually, when we think about utopia, I think we actually think back to the beginning of Atlantis. And Lemuria is perfect too. Lemuria's a pair.
Right.
So
very similar environments though, both by water. Both have like very much water connection energy too.
Good point. And the reason I feel that is water clears the emotional energy. 100%. So so people who live by coasts are calmer. Because the water's constantly just kind of like working those ions off or whatever it is electronically that we hold on to with emotion. So water is very important. And, Atlantis, see, that's it. Lemuria knew it was important. And Atlantis goes and builds this cocky thing with ring within ring within ring. Like they take it to this like Donald Trump level, you know what I mean? Like of being around water and giving everyone a waterfront, which is, cool. So it's interesting, all this stuff going on. I'm glad this came out this way because the riots and everything, I really feel like it's the beginning of us, the Lemurians and the Atlanteans. And here's the thing, guys.
Yes.
It was mostly aliens. Like in this case, it isn't us. It was another species apparently that messed up with us. We were getting along pretty fine, and then there was a lot of infiltration of darkness into our system apparently. And so the point is, I think we all love each other. I think that we have had energies that have gotten under our skin and have tricked us into thinking it was each other. It's not. I don't feel it is.
Well, I feel like I said before, there's gonna be like a diverging of like a duality of people of the collective, and I feel like we need to take a step apart to like look at each other, right, to kind of observe each other and understand the differences. And I feel like now we're getting to a point of merging, like coming back together energy, collective energy. So sometimes you got to pull away and separate in order for you to understand each other's perspectives and voices. I feel like we've done that the past 8 years. I feel like a merging is coming back now, like a merging of ideas, understanding, like we said before, like you were saying, and gifts and awarenesses and all that stuff. So I'm excited for this time moving ahead, actually.
It is absolutely happening. And so here's the thing. We'll end with this. There's going to be if you follow the official headlines of, what's going on and how the world is in peril, and it always has been in peril, isn't it? It's always been in peril. That is a channel you can watch if you want. But from what I understand, it doesn't matter. Everyone has to just kind of go and finish out the stories that they believe in and finish out that chapter, the theme park. And then when you're done with that chapter, there's a new theme park chapter. And you can actually leave this chapter and go to your new theme park now if you'd like to. But maybe you want to finish the story and learn that you had to learn. And if I understand, that's what it is about. So really, there's no harm done no matter what we do.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah. So, I mean, we have another commercial, I think. Did we do them already? Did Serious Joy and Practitioner of the Week?
Commercials, yeah. Next week we promise we'll study our own show.
Because we still have to talk about why they've been holding a lot of things in history.
Oh, let's do that. Yes, good. Oh, the ICG. Do we have another commercial? If we do, roll it.
We're supposed to break before that, but do you want to? I don't know. We're on time.
It's the stars to seriously change your life with a subscription to Serious Joy. Sign up now for your personalized step astrology and daily pep talks. Highly predictive astrology sent via text and email, daily zodiac weather reports, advanced lectures, classes, edutainment series, and more. Sign up today for only $3.99 to seriously change your life. Only on SeriousJoy.com.
Are you a practitioner looking to move your life's work into the spotlight? Do you have that special magic that makes you stand out? Serious Joy is now auditioning for its new Practitioner of the Week segment on Namaste Today. Sensei Christopher is looking to highlight qualified lightworkers with a promo short dedicated to raising awareness about your gifts. Interested? Contact Jenny at intuitive.com to apply for an audition and get ready to shake what your spirit gave you.
Yeah, I'm excited for that program, actually. We're going to be, just asking the public who wants to be highlighted, and we're just going to be showing new people. Like, here's a practitioner here, here's a practitioner there, and just like stirring that pot and getting people out there.
Stir it up, baby. I would say connect that community.
Yeah, well, help build those bridges. And so you're right. We were actually going to talk about some of the hidden stories and why they were hidden in the show. The truth is, I mean, if this all stuff happened or whatever, why is it not understood by now? Why don't we? And when we do find something, when they invent a perpetual energy machine, why does it get bought up? So what's happening really? Yeah, what are your feelings about this?
Well, obviously, suppression of ideas, suppression of awakening. So I think there's been a group of people that understand a lot of the different powers. I think that I do. I used to not believe this. Like if there was like reptilians or different type of species mingling with us, I never used to kind of believe that. I thought it was kind of like Alex Jones kind of hype. But then I started recognizing there are certain different level of souls that are incarnated here with different. Maybe they don't live forever. Maybe they're not even so consciousness that they need to try to grab onto life and control so badly that I think that there's a lot of those type of different interdimensional beings I think that are cohabiting with us on Earth that don't want us to have that power, that don't want us to have that control.
Yes.
So whether you call it reptilians or not, they're understanding how much they can dominate, soul consciousness. And so we're wrapped up in that right now, but that's also part of our karma too, to resurrect from the repressions and the restrictions, right? So we're also in line with our karmic path here too, but there's been a lot of suppression of that past information. We talked about, even with the Bible a couple of weeks ago, the lost scrolls of Christ, talking about manifestation, talking about other, mystical abilities they removed, just as like other things, they understand the power of our mind and how to use our mind to block us from being psychic. And so it's funny how the media wants to say psychics are crazy, but then they say I use psychic spies, right? So there's a hypocrisy there. And so I think it is for control. It is, if we all ascended, we all had discernment, we wouldn't give them the power. So it'd be, that's bullshit. We wouldn't be supporting those things. So they rule based off empathy. And I think we've been seeing a lot of that lately, right, in the past 8 years. They have one group they focus on who are very empathetic, and the other group is focused on like rights and warrior mentality. And so I think they're just kind of a way to kind of keep us divided so we don't find the true self. We don't have discernment of the trajectory, and we're bound by their control. But see, I think that's what we're awakening from. That's what I think woke culture really is seeing through the bullshit.
Let's hijack woke culture. That's cool.
Well, I've been saying that woke stuff before they said woke culture. I've been writing about that in my blogs for so much. That we're going to be awakened and we're going to be woke. And then they started using that. I'm like, now they just, I feel like they perverted what I was saying. But no, that's really what woke is. You see through all that bullshit. You see through the contamination, and you realize we have that dominant power and energy.
We do. Well, I think that's the secret. Why? From what I've learned just recently about, talking to Archangel Metatron at Unite the Light, he was talking about how human beings create the weather. I've heard this many times. The Seth materials talk about it too. That basically, if it rains in your town, y'all were emotionally pent up, and that's why it rained. The earth came up, showed up, cleaned up the house, refreshed. Lowered the ions. Made everyone sleepy for a minute with barometric pressure, and put you through a car wash. And it was caused by the human beings in that town drawing in a natural force energy that's in tie with their consciousness. So that being said, that's proof, if you will. I mean, you can't prove it, but that allows you to then assume, well, then maybe everything that's created on the earth is a reflection of the populace. And if that's the case, well, then of course you want to keep them in this myth. Of course you want these native idiots to not be voting. Don't even tell me you have that ability. Don't even tell me you can create the weather. Then I'll be voting. So I think it's all been just from aliens, like you said. I have just said, it's a magical planet. I mean, I've learned a lot in the last few weeks alone, which is interesting. Just the last few weeks, these details came in, but it's a magical planet that will make anything you want. And there's no other planets like that in the whole universe. Well, you got people who are jealous. Yes, alien species are jealous. Alien species that want that. It's the latest and greatest of creation. So there's a lot of reasons to want to be here. The Anunnaki want to be here for gold. And it's like, what? Right. But apparently it's hard to find the universe. Apparently Mother Earth is really good at it. She makes golden stuff. We have a golden sun. She makes gold a lot. I guess other systems don't have gold makers.
Unique property.
So it's like, oh, cool. I can't get kryptonite here either. So anyways, I agree with everything you're saying. And I agree that we're waking up to it and realizing it. And it's going to happen in different shades of people for different reasons. But there definitely was evidence of conspiracy in the long-term sense. Constantine, took all the Bible scriptures and decided what should be in the Bible, made the Bible deliberately the Bible is 100% a mind control document from an emperor. And it's documented, guys. It's documented. You know what I mean? It's documented. It's not like something we lost the evidence to. So many times we just make people in the dark and tell them it's this story and let the idiot tribes think that's the case. And that way no one's going to hijack our ability to make good weather.
Yeah, but again, I want people to understand too. We talk about this we're just finding the structure. I don't want people to think that we're still a slave to that. This is part of our karmic evolution too. We're intended to wake up through these experiences. Because a lot of people will turn that into doom and gloom. That why we've been enslaved, and it's like, no, it's the fact that you're awakening to the fact that to what your power really is. So those are watching, I want people to understand that no, we intended for that storyline. We intended to have those villains that are controlling. We tend just to kind of find our power, find our voice, find our discernment. We intended for that. So I just want to be clear in the spiritual sense about why also those things. And sometimes I'm like, they almost understand the evolution of what we're going through too. So that's just me feeling that it's all really connected and in sync either way. And so if we're evolving, that's how it's going to evolve. We're in sync, whether we realize that or not, on the soul level, spiritually. So,
yeah. But of course, again, I feel like we're having sleep and we choose this vacation package, and we knew full well that this would all happen. I mean, I feel like, I'm convinced. I mean, you know what? When I was growing up, my parents were like, well, you chose it. You chose it. You chose this in heaven. And I was like, nah, I don't know about that. Now that I'm coming to my adult, I'm like, yeah, I chose it. You know what I mean? I see it, I feel it, and I'm not hurt about it. I'm upset about it, So, anyways, it's so funny. Our director said the force is off the air now. So I guess it's time to go.
If we do one more zoom in, if we go on another zoom in, we'll never get back at the end of the show.
Yeah, once we start looking at Scott, we just can't stop. All right, folks, that's all we have for this week. But join us next week as we talk about personal sovereignty and relationships. I'm sure it'll be a blast.
Well, but also make sure too, guys, you're using your discernment, because that's the whole conclusion of all this, that there's so much information out there, so much suppressed information out there. Use your discernment. And when you give yourself the curiosity to understand what you're feeling intuitively, you'll get the responses, and just consider them. And that's how you start to lead out loud as well, right, Christopher?
Yeah. And my last line is, and I think it's to say this whole time, is because of Gemini and all this Jupiter stuff, if you don't also feel it's true, stop thinking about it. You have to think and feel both. So that's my last line. We'll see you next week. Until don't deal with the riffraff, lead out loud. Yeah.
Bye. Lead out loud. You're on one.
Am I fun? I do feel fun. I'll tell you what. I am because I'll tell you what turned on. Now all I want to do is have fun.
Like but that's good. Time
just working.
But I didn't know where you're going half the time. But it was fun. You like the history stuff. I know you are. You love the history stuff.
It's interesting the story how it was all put together. Yeah.
Yeah. Aloha.